Hearing the old tree's voice, Jiang Shun rushed forward excitedly. He looked up at the great tree and laughed loudly. Old tree, this is the first time you've spoken to me. Just swallow it. Don't be shy. The old tree stretched its roots across Mount Fuji, reaching the volcano's mouth. Jiang Shun looked up and asked, Old tree, are there any rainbow spheres? There was no reply. He frowned slightly. Why so silent? Jiang Shun stood in midair, watching the roots burrow deep into the mountain, and patiently shouting, Old tree, don't just worry about eating. Are there any fruits? Annoyed at being interrupted, the old tree replied irritably, Yes. It then swung a branch out. Jiang Shun dodged and immediately cheered. The great old tree really is reliable. The old tree silently swallowed the entire mountain. Its roots proliferated endlessly. Jiang Shun smiled confidently. With the old tree here, the divine hall, the ancestral temple, or even Asgard will have a hard time escaping. Within the white. In the mist, Susanoo landed on a rocky outcrop, gripping his great sword, a smirk on his lip. He's here. Wait for him to die. My master will devour the 9 nether, and I'll swallow his rune, too. Susanoo froze for a few seconds when he saw the great tree gnawing at Mount Fuji's life force, then roared in fury. Damn it, what kind of tree dares to swallow my sacred mountain? About to rush forward, Susanoo halted when a rough green object flashed by and a huge golden eye appeared. The cold gaze made his voice tremble. Master, came a deep, hoarse reply. If Fuji falls, Cao Tianguin will perish, too. Immediately the sky was covered with green scales and dull golden eyes. An authoritative voice resounding. My disciple will contend with that tree. He takes on Shan into Cao Tianguin and kill them. Yang Shenji and Ji Ling Shu of the Great Yao also came. Kill them both. Who are that should and wield? My Tao, the sword. You are capable of handling this. Hearing this, Susanoo knelt respectfully. Yes, Master Jiang Shenji. Jiang Shenji and Jiling Cao arrived at Fuji and were stunned to see the roots entwining the peak. Jiling Cao cried out in alarm. Old Quan, it's the divine tree of the little deity. Jiang Shenji frowned in horror. Could it be that it's devouring the sacred mountain? The two immediately split the clouds and rushed over, calling in unison, Little deity. Jiang Shan heard and turned around in surprise. Uncle Quan, Uncle Cao. Suddenly, the space atop the peak cracked. A blue vortex with immense energy appeared, startling Jiang Shan. What is this? The vortex split open, and countless red-eyed snake heads shot out, biting and tearing at the roots. A deep voice boomed. A mere sapling dares to swallow a sacred mountain. Jiling Cao's face changed. It's an illusory image of the 8 banners great deity. The true form can't arrive and is attacking from afar. A low voice echoed again. You'll lot too. Immediately, a spatial gate generated a violent suction, pulling the 3 of them in amid screams. When he came to, Jiang Shenji found himself in thick mist, his wary gaze sweeping around. Is this Jiao Tianqing? He stood amid the fog and called softly. Uncle Cao, Lil Didi, where are you two? Can you hear me? Only silence answered. Jiang Shenji glanced around, his expression darkening. No movement. Could we have been separated? He opened his divine perception, and summoned his divine sense. A violent pain surged as if a hand was squeezing his skull. He clutched his brow and groaned. I can't probe it. The stabbing pain spread to his hands. Jiang Shenji frowned, looking at the toxic mist corroding his flesh. His voice was low. This fog is poisonous. It's corroding the body and... Suppressing the spirit, Jiang Shenji summoned the Kai Tian cloak. A brilliant gold light flashed, and the cloak's power immediately swept away swaths of the poisonous mist. Seeing the clear effect, he spun the cloak. The golden light exploded into a large barrier as he barked in a deep voice. Martial God's domain fully activate, sensing an unusual pressure. Jiang Shenji frowned. This is bad. Under the 3 layers of suppression from the national fortune, the divine Yuan land, and the Cao Tianguan, the fog is only pushed back slightly. Vision clearing, a thunderous roar sounded as countless red-eyed monsters surged to assault the shield. Jiang Shenji tightened the Kai Tian cloak and gritted his teeth. The field can only open 100 meters. Combat power drops to 70. I won't hold long. Force and time are limited. Jiang Shenji dared not delay, and immediately set his course. If Old Q and the little deity are also suppressed, we're in trouble. Hope the divine tree can hold that spirit beast. I must find them before it's too late. At that moment, Jiang Shan strode leisurely through the mist, snorting softly. This cheap toxic fog dares to act before me, and that hate banner great serpent, a primordial spirit beast, faces the old tree. It's only a one-way trip to death. Zhongshan wandered through the thick mist without encountering danger, only annoyed by the disorientation. Where on earth is the divine essence spirit liquid? Walking with no sense of direction. Zhongshan suddenly thought, stroking his chin. Right. Faoya has the keenest nose for cooking ingredients. Maybe he'll sniff out a clue. Acting on the thought, Zhongshan summoned Xiaoya. Seconds later, the boy appeared, clutching a notebook, and looked up. Are you looking for me? Zhongshan smiled and replied, yes, your sense of smell is the sharpest. Help me find the divine essence spirit liquid. Xiaojia nodded and held up the notebook, pointing to a math problem with shining eyes. No problem, father, but could you help me solve this trigonometry question first? I have been stuck on it for 3 days. Xiaojia proffered the notebook expectantly. Dad, this 11th grade problem should be easy for you, right? Zhongshan looked at the question, sweat beading on his brow. Wait, weren't you just in elementary school yesterday? How are you in 11th grade now? I'm a prodigy. I skipped grades, Xiaojia answered innocently. Zhongshan fell silent, narrowed his eyes, and muttered softly. How bitter. Staring at the problem, Zhongshan saw nothing but matrix-like symbols. I'm done for. This is knowledge I already paid teachers for in a past life. As a father, he couldn't be bested in front of his son. Zhongshan looked sternly, sweat pouring, telling himself, calm down. You don't know it, but act like you do. Just write the word solution first. He hurriedly grabbed a pen, scrawled a few mysterious formulas while muttering, must have the right aura. Look cool. Then he shouted loudly, done, with a smug air. Seeing his father finish the answer in minutes, Xiaojia's eyes widened. Kid, you're amazing. Zhongshan beamed, hands on hips, and smirked softly, of course. Xiaojia said innocently, but I still don't understand how you solved it. Zhongshan immediately stored the notebook in space and cleared his throat. Ahem, this part is a bit complicated. Find the divine essence first. I'll teach you later. At the command, Xiaojia waved and summoned a giant armored beetle. Wind roared as he nodded seriously. Yes, father. Zhongshan sent out his divine sense to scout. Xiaojia pointed. Dad, over there. Zhongshan nodded slightly. Good. That's the right direction. Lead the way, Zhongshan instructed. Xiaojia nodded and transformed into a streak of light, darting off. Yes, father. As they drew near, the clashing of swords intensified. Zhongshan squinted and recognized the familiar aura. His uncle, Jilingqiu, and Susanyu were locked in a fierce duel ahead. Sword ki clashed and made the air tremble. Susanyu swung his sword with blistering speed, sneering, someone like you calls himself a champion, a joke. Jilingqiu struggled to defend in horror. You're... what? Susanyu laughed coldly. Killing you is as easy as butchering a dog. As Jilingqiu was about to fall, Susanyu unleashed a finisher. The heavenly pine cloud sword. The blade's force exploded, sending him flying. Blood spurted from his mouth. Seeing his opponent still not down, Susanyu coldly struck with pure cleaving. Jilingqiu countered with the 10,000 sword sack technique. Two forces collided violently, shaking the heavens. Yet, under Susanyu's power, Jilingqiu remained overwhelmed. The blast of sword ki spread. Susanyu laughed haughtily. You're nothing but an ant. Thrown against the rock face, Jilingqiu clucked blood in agony. The sword in his hand shattered, his body numb, his vision blurring. Jilingqiu looked at his broken sword and shakily said, do long sword technique. Susanyu advanced, a ghostly smile on his face, immediately unleashing the lengthwise slash. Exhausted, Jilingqiu could only raise his hand to shield his head as a cry of pain echoed through the air. At that moment, Zhongshan plunged down from the sky like a descending angel, shouting, Uncle Ko. Susanyu saw him. His blood-red eyes flared, and an ecstatic grin spread across his lips.